Control, this is flight. We have visibility at 100%. Path clear. Hold on, Control. We have something here. What is that? It's beautiful. Let's get a closer look. Actually, Control, on second thought, maybe we should... Oh, abort approach. I repeat, abort approach. We're gonna have to go around this. We're all clear. Control, this is flight. We have visibility at 100%. Path clear.
It is not wise for someone to simply stand on a box and think they're the tallest person in the room, like the same height. It is not wise for someone to think they're blind when simply wearing a box over their head for whatever reason that would be. All right, go ahead. Come on. It is not wise to obey any sign that tells you to do whatever, no questions asked. All right. Give it up for our volunteers, right? It is not wise to do these things, right? So we've talked a little bit about what wisdom is not. It's not these obvious things. Let's talk about what wisdom is. Wisdom is the ability to look around whatever is right in your face, trying to distract you and get all of your attention. It's the ability to look around that and get a fuller perspective. If there's one book in the Bible that talks about wisdom more than any other book in the Bible, it is Proverbs. Proverbs is written by King Solomon, who prayed that above all else, God would make him wise. And God did. And so Solomon and some other writers put together the book of Proverbs. Now, what is a proverb? A proverb is a short, succinct, clever saying that communicates a truth, like all's well that ends well, right? Which I have no idea what it means, but it's a proverb. Or all that glitters is not gold. Sure. But the proverbs in Scripture are there to teach us what it means to live wisely. Now, in Proverbs, you could be tempted to think that if I just obey all these proverbs, I will get a nice, handsome reward. That if I do X and Y, well, my life will be great. But you and I both know, right, that obeying everything Scripture says doesn't always equal happiness and easy living, right? So is the book of Proverbs a bunch of lies? No, I don't think so. Proverbs works more like this. It's a guide. It's a map. That if you just follow its direction, well, you will head the right way. You'll head to the right place. Now, it doesn't make promises, though, that there will never be construction, traffic, road closures. Life will still throw things at you. But wisdom, according to Proverbs, will point you in the right direction. Make sense? So, King Solomon put these together so that we could live well, which is what we all want, right? To live well. We enter into a new relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic situation. And we're excited, right? We're thrilled because, oh man, this is so exciting and new and great. But then things start going sideways and we get more focused on the drama of the thing rather than the joy of the thing. How do we live well there? Or we want to do something meaningful with our lives. We want to do something that really matters. But then we look back at our days and our weeks and we go, what did I spend my time doing again? Do I matter? We want to be good. We end up being bad. We want to be happy, but life happens. And we need wisdom. So Proverbs is written to train our hearts and our minds to see around what is right in front of us, distracting us, pushing us down, tempting us. We get to see around that through wisdom into what God's purpose is for us and is for our lives. So, how do we do that? How do we get this wisdom that lets us see around, and how do we start living well? Well, Proverbs tells us. In Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10, it gives us the first step to take in becoming wise. You ready for this? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. The fear of the Lord, the fear of God, is the entry point. It's the first dive into the pool. It's the first step into wisdom. Fearing God, being connected to wisdom and good living, is mentioned 21 times in Proverbs. And it's also mentioned all throughout Scripture, this idea of fearing God. But it begs the question, right? What does it mean to fear God? Can I give you like 2 analogies to kind of break that down? First one is this. Who in here has ever been in your... Now, we're all like too old to be scared at night, right? But we all still are, aren't we? If we're honest about it. Like, we're all like, no, I'm not scared. And then we're in bed and we're just like, oh man, there's like 10 murderers in my house, I'm pretty sure. Who has ever been laying in your bed and has heard a noise and it's freaked you out? Show of hands. Anybody? Yeah, it's across the board, right? You hear like a bump in the kitchen, you're like, oh man, I'm dying tonight. Or like there's a creak on the floor and you're like, is the house settling or is a creature gonna rip my face off? Whatever it is. That is terror because you feel like something is coming that wants to harm you, that wants to hurt you. That's terror. But that is a very different kind of fear than the fear you face when you see someone wearing one of these. Now, if you're ever in bed at night and someone wearing these comes into your room, now that is terrifying. But I once had to, I don't know how loud I'm talking because that really makes me not be able to hear a thing. I once had to get surgery, and it was scary. When the doctor came and introduced himself before he was going to literally cut my body open, it was scary. But it was a different kind of fear than the fear at night, because I knew he wanted to help. Those are 2 different kinds of fears. Here's another analogy. Aquaphobia is the fear of water. It is completely irrational. It's the fear when you get close to any body of water that is going to harm me. That is an irrational, unhelpful, paralyzing fear. That is very different than the fear a surfer may have when the wave begins to rise. Do you like my surfer? It's kind of cool. It's very different than what this dude may experience. A surfer may feel the adrenaline go through his body. A smart surfer, is going to respect what the waves can do to him, but he's going to lean in to that wave. He's going to experience a respect and an awe because he knows this wave, while it can destroy me, it can also lift me to what I'm meant to be. A fear of God is really rooted in respect and awe. A respect and an awe of God that acknowledges that not only can he transform you and me, he can change the whole world. And that leads to surrender. And this is the beginning of wisdom. To say, you're God and I'm not, so I surrender. Now, why is that so important? Why is this idea of surrendering to a God you fear so important? Because a bone that grows the wrong way must be rebroken. What? Let me tell you a story. I heard about a kid who broke his arm right at the end of a school year. Broke his arm. Bad. And all summer long was in a cast, couldn't go swimming, at sleepovers or weeks of camp, had this big old clunky cast on his arm. It was a pain. At the end of the summer, he finally got to get his cast taken off, and the doctor cut it off, and then the doctor made a noise. I'm like, uh-oh. And the kid said, what? The doctor said, your bone has grown back the wrong way. It's not broken anymore, but it's healed incorrectly. If I were the kid, I would have said, oh, well, don't need that arm anyway. But the doctor knew you're not going to live a full life if you can't use this arm to its fullest ability. Here's what we have to do. We have to take that arm and break it again. It's awful. We have to break your bone again so that your arm can be all that it's meant to be. A fear of God says, you are in control, I am not. You know what's best for me, I don't. I want you to do whatever it takes, and by the way, you can do whatever it takes to make me who I am supposed to be. And out of this respect and awe for you, knowing that you are capable of destroying me, but what you want to do is lift me to new heights. Because of that, I surrender and I say, do what it takes. This is the beginning of wisdom. So here's my question to you guys. What's right here? What is right here that needs to be surrendered? It's right in your face, demanding your attention. It says, do this, go here, be like this. Here's this decision that's right in front of you. It would feel really good if you just did this. It would be really fun if you just did this. It would really validate you if you just experienced this, and it's right here. And maybe through God's power, you need to surrender that so that you can see around what's calling you, what's calling for your attention, and see God's purpose in your life. This is the beginning of wisdom.